Alright, welcome back to Adobe Photoshop CC. This is a continuation of the sci-fi text. This is where we left off last tutorial. Went over the whole text and this basically a background here. One thing I forgot to add in here was actually in last year was a drop shadow. So I actually add that in between tutorials here. Again, all you do is double click on layer styles, add drop shadow, and basically you can click and drag in here to move the shadow around. I kind of want it to come downwards like so, and then I just basically, after you adjust the size, then you can adjust the spread and the size here if you want to make it a little bit softer, which I kind of like the softer look of it. And then I clicked in here and chose a color in the background to essentially get a nice sort of greenish dark color here, and set the blend on multiply, of course. And you can play around with the opacity. I kind of like it a little bit lighter, actually. Looks kind of nice here. And then just click OK. So the actual lighting effects are done right here and here through these extra layers, which are actually just flames and fireworks from different sites like cgtextures.com primarily. And yeah, so you can basically go to their sites, download whatever sort of lighting effects you like, and these two are pretty cool. All you gotta do then is basically move them in, drop them down, and of course they'll be usually too big depending on the image you're working with, but in this case it's quite large, so I'm just gonna hit Control minus a couple times, or Command minus on the Mac, and then Control T or Command T to scale down. And I can scale it down a little bit until I get to something I like, and then I just want to squish it in a little bit to get sort of effect here. Now right now, if I hit return, you'll notice you can see the black here, but what you can do is change the blend mode to one of the lighten modes. The one I like is the linear dodge add, and voila, the black sort of goes away. So now I can basically just play around with this, and by squishing it down quite a bit and then rotating it, get this kind of nice sort of flare-like quality, as if almost like a, I don't know, a fire hose or something went across the front of the text, and like a laser or something. Just gives it a really nice effect. And then all you have to do is add layer mask by clicking layer mask icon, and then use a brush at nice soft opacity. So I'm going to right and click in here just to make sure I have the soft brush selected, which I do, and then drop the opacity down to maybe like 40%, and just kind of knock off the tail end there, maybe a little bit there, and then I got this cool effect here. The other one, I'll just bring this one in. Again, grab the top tool and move tool, you can just drag it up and then drag down and then release, and you got this effect here. And this one is pretty close to the right size, so I'm going to switch to blend mode to linear dodge add, and then I'll hit Control 0, Command 0 on the Mac to zoom in a little bit, and then hit Control T again, and then just kind of move it in place. And this one I thought looked pretty cool on the C here. You could squish it down a little bit, but I don't know, I kind of thought it looked really great right there. So pretty much just hit return, and voila, we now have our lighting scene. Now there are some additional things you can do. You can see here how it got much darker and the lighting is a little bit more dramatic. So what you got to do is be on their top layer here and do this hotkey. It's Control Shift Alt E or Command Shift Option E on a Mac, and you get essentially a merge duplicate copy. At that point, what you can then do is right click and duplicate the layer, click OK. And the reason why I do that is in case I mess up on this one, I can drop the opacity layer and blend it with the layer below. But essentially now on this flattened image, I can use my paintbrush here, and I can use the two blend modes to darken and lighten the image. So they are color burn to darken and color dodge to lighten, and they work really well in this flattened image. So I'll use color burn first, and what I'm going to do is just hold Alt or Option to get my eyedrop tool and select some sort of gray in there, and I'll make my brush quite large here, and as I click in here you can see how dramatic that is. In fact, I'll do Control Z or Command Z on the Mac. It's quite dramatic. I might drop it to maybe 10%, and that gives me a little bit more control over this. Now I can sort of heighten the darkening quality, just by going in there and messing around. So I can come in here and, basically wherever I want to make it more dramatic, just darken it up. Now, then I go to the color dodge mode. This time I will hold Alt or Option and select some shade of the blue here. And I'm going to reduce my brush a little bit and just click in here a little bit. And what I can essentially do is apply a little bit more highlight around the rim of some of these letters here and kind of make the letters appear to glow. I might bump it up to 30% just to make it a little bit faster. Then I can increase the size a little bit. And you can see here I can even make the glow happen in the shadow area here. So you can have kind of fun like how much of this to do and where to apply it. I can hold Alt or Option and select some of that orange, and maybe the orange sort of glow happens over here on the side. And again, if you take it too far, again, you can drop the whole opacity of the layer. But sometimes you just need to drop the opacity of the brush. I'll drop it at 20% and add some cool little highlights here. Maybe make the brush a little bit bigger. As you make it bigger, what will happen is it'll hit a larger area. And some areas that are really kind of dull, like these areas over here, sometimes it's kind of nice just to lighten them up a little bit. And then you can always go back to that color burn blend mode, choose kind of a gray and kind of darken up again. But again, maybe drop it to 10% just to make it a little bit more subtle. And voila, we got now some cool cyborg sort of action here. So I'm really digging this. I think it looks pretty interesting. Fares pretty well, like this one here. You can see there's a little bit of glow there on the bottom of the G on this layer, or the top layer here. So how you can get that is when you switch to the paintbrush mode. You can also use the linear dodge add blend mode. This one will actually work really well with making things start to really pop here. So as I click here and keep adding, I can keep adding until I get this cool little glow here. I'm going to undo all that. Maybe do it in a slightly different area. Maybe on the tip of the R here. Kind of like it here. Shrink my brush down a little bit. Then I can increase the size and create kind of a glowing effect, back behind the R, until I keep going, until I get this crazy brightness. So basically it's just slowly building it up, that 10%, until you get something you like. And I kind of like dig that now. And I could do that anywhere I want. Linear dodge add is very powerful blend mode that allows you to do that. You can also do it with the blue color. It doesn't really matter which color you choose, it'll work the same. So I think maybe along here, back here I might get a little bit, and keep clicking inside there. Maybe make this a little bit smaller. And increase a little bit. Right now it's not giving the hotness that I want in terms of the glow effect, so I had to add more of that white in there and kind of paint it out. So this is where the layer below will help you out. You can always add layer mask and physically paint out that area. So I'm going to switch to normal, because I could always undo, but maybe I went past my default 20 steps and now I can just paint it out and be like, no, that was a bad idea. And voila. Because I kind of like this orange one. I don't think the blue one's really necessary. So that concludes the sci-fi type project. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Have fun exploring the power of using actual lighting images in Photoshop CC. Until next time, see you soon. Cheers.